This station is from a stream to a flowing river. This station is growing bigger and bigger. This station is for all the garrison. No other station in comparison. The Badass station is everywhere. Even when you're shopping, you can find places Tesco, Lidl, Sainsbury, and even Morrison. JahBunny station. No stress, no pain, and no altercation. JahBunny Badass.
Greetings, my beloved elder. JahBunny. Come on, Grand Rising to the one man over land that sees. Age 45. Age 45. You know me, I'm back at the class. Real. And I'm like a bench, you know. And like a grade 1 bench, not a grade 1, a basic school bench, you know. But me ears open wide and I listen to the guy. And I tell her, I share the book with enough one. When I buy the book, yet I share it. At times, I buy my copies, my personal self. Can download it on the book reader, yeah. I have it to listen to forward. But I rather have to listen to it you. For some reason, I don't know why. Because I know, say, when you talk it, and when you read it, there are certain things you make clear because you were there. And that is the thing about story. His story. And the story. And the journey. Because their journey still a go on same way. So love and respect in every aspect, you know. From head top to shoes tongue, straight down to the ground. Rasta. We love it. Give thanks.
Shut up now, man. He's a fucking idiot or what? You think the system just exists without individuals or individuals without, or the system is something that is living on its own? Are the people them were involved in that rich white man them who have the business or run the music industry, the film industry, the whole of them are the system. It's kind of retard you be boom Donovan, but you don't know sense, man.
Death Row by Narratied, Hector. Narrated by JahBunny, better known as the Badass, the man from Buzzwalk. Now we have come to the Postcript of Death Row. So now, listen carefully. Postcript. 8 years down the road from 1975 is a long way when you spend 16, sometime 18 hours a day, every day in a prison cell. When you cloud never show its silver lining, and at a time you cannot find a reason for living. The feeling was high upon coming off the row, knowing finally that nobody was going to haul off my head and bury me in a 3-story grave. The feeling was good, but it was only a transient illusion, soon to be chased away by the dead reality of life imprisonment. The toughest sentence in the book after the death sentence. The most difficult sentence of imprisonment is that without a date of release. You do not know when you are going out and could very well live out the rest of your life behind walls. I looked around and saw an old convict called Remel, pushing down 30 years. Another, Carby, had gone over 25 years and was still serving life. And many others gone on 15, 10, 9 years. I had no reason for hoping. Your mind is haunted by the fact that you are alive but dead for as long as you remain in prison, and that might be forever. The prospect of going all in prison, dying in a prison cell, never having a woman again, never again feeling the natural ecstasy of freedom was their way out. So many haunting prospects hung on my mind. Initially, I was assigned to work in the tailor shop. I had no fancy for the trade. Moreover, the kind of clothes made for inmate was completely different from the clothes worn outside. It was, however, something to do when serving a life sentence or other long-term imprisonment. One has to do something, be mentally distracted from the haunting thoughts, or return the mind into junk. I have seen it happen to a lot of prisoners who could not handle the mental strain. Some do a trade or work on the ward or in one of the various parties. The work gang are divided into. Some go for academic work, others do self-servicing or painting, while others do business or gambling. You have just got to do something when you do life. Our chances going crazy. 4 of the brothers were transferred to the general penitentiary. The rest remain at district prison under the continued harassment and brutality of those who went out of their way to make living, surviving difficult for us. Inevitable, the struggle continue with the same theme: struggle or die, struggle or die. Polo, the only united movement in the prison, become highly organized and was outlawed as a subversive movement. By January 1976, we had a council of 12 and a total registered membership of 387. Early in 1976, we were sufficiently organized to submit a 40-point petition to the Minister of Justice outlining a plan of development necessary to bring Jamaica penal system into the 20th century. We wanted the implementation of a parole scheme, the provision of basic and higher education in all the prison, reform of the dangerous drug law to decriminalize ganja, the release of inmates who had already served 15 years, and a review of those who had gone 7 years, an end to brutality and harassment, and improve training for staff. The document was signed by 400 inmates and copies were sent to the press. Inmates in other institutions and progressive group on the outside. Support came from the PMP Youth Organization, that is Paul Burke, the Jamaica Council for Human Rights. By the way, salute Paul Burke. Yeah. Jamaica Council for Human Rights, the Church's Advisory Bureau, and several youth clubs, being the General Secretary of POL at the time. I and two other council members, and in the document to the superintendent for dispatch to the Minister of Justice, the superintendent was shocked. He wanted to know who had typed the documents, who had planned it, and had not been told us. POL was subversive, with few answers coming from us, and a hint that we had more copies to send to the minister if that one was destroyed. The document was sent off, and all three of us were confined to ourselves for 6 weeks. It was well worth it, for these documents, along with the report of the Barnett Commission of Inquiry, have had a significant impact and development since then in the penal system. The Honorable Carl Rattray, Minister of Justice 1976 to 1980, is the father of penal and criminal reform in modern Jamaica. Indeed, before Carl Rattray, there was no penal reform. In just 4 years, he initiated the most far-reaching reform. The parole scheme, halfway hostile, the improvement of basic and higher education to as far as college and the outside, suspend sentence, review of the Gun Court Act of capital punishment were some of these reforms. The most remarkable of Rattray creation was the Prisoner Development Week. The week was launched in November 1976 and was fundamentally an effort to establish social awareness of the penal system, its function, existing condition, to inform society that responsibility of society, and to highlight the potential in art and craft, woodwork, metalwork, etc. that was being done by prisoners within the prison. For 1 week in November every year, the program would be held. Inmate went out and had rap session in school, college. Inmate art and craft and other skill were on exhibition across the island. Numerous functions and events took place on both sides of the wall. POL surfaced for the occasion to present inmate message. Ironically enough, we were involved in the planning and gave the message. None of our members were selected to participate in any rap session on the outside. Prisoner Development Week 1976 was a success and can continue every year until the Manley government left office in 1980. Over the year, the Department of Correctional Service always pushed for calm in the prison. At every meeting, in every speech, there was always the call for calm. Before 1976, the call fell on deaf ears. Calm was impossible while people were being treated like animals, while oppression and repression remain a policy of the penal system. While we were living in filth and degradation. During Prisoners Development Week, the Department of Correctional Service again called for calm. And for the first time, the call was given a hearing. The minister had himself made the call for calm. And because he was visible, active, working to introduce change, we have pulled an inmate council across the island headed its call. The commissioner, Dudley Allen, wanted the inmate council not only to bring about calm, but also to discourage escape. Few of the council agree to help restore calm, but could make no commitment regarding escape. You can tell a convict not to escape. A calm soon settle over the entire penal system. A pregnant calm as Rachu went to work. The prison staff in the majority was blindly opposed to Rachu rehabilitation program. To them, all that was needed to run the prison were heavy button, guns, good luck, and eye wall. They knew nothing of the enlightened notion of penology. Complacent in their ignorance, they fought changes every step of the way, trying against time and the march of civilization to maintain an architect concept of penology based on degradation, oppression, brutality, and racism. Can you imagine racism in a Jamaica prison? I wonder how that manifests itself. They base the legality of their oppression on the fact that in 1974, prison law had not been reviewed to define and sanction the rehabilitation program. In an article in the Jamaica Daily News of 30th of March 1977, the warder expressed the view that the competent authority were outlawed the prison law and introduced reform measure without proper consultation with them. This was causing great concern among the staff. Subsequently, superintendent and senior member of staff in a number of prisons threatened to resign if the rehabilitation program was not halted. Even the Minister of National Security, Cable Nunn, come out along with the Police Federation against the rehabilitation program. Rachu was under pressure. So it was that every program Rachu implement, the warder hijack. When the education and system within the prison was upgraded and volunteer teacher held classes in the prison, they were embarrassed, harassed, abused by warder. If a lecture was to be given, so much time would be taken up in moving inmates around, that when everybody was at least ready, only 5 minutes were left of the allotted time. Every program was sabotage, and any inmate who gave support to the rehabilitation program was in for trouble. He was an enemy to be oppressed and destroyed. I was unfortunate to be first president of the inmate council at St. Patrick District Prison and general secretary of Pull. A lot of trouble came my way. I was reassigned as librarian of the half-empty library. At first, my days were spent reading anything and everything I could lay my hands on. Then I recognized with the educational program and began. Then I registered with the educational program and began serious study. Did the exam and function as a volunteer teacher up until my transfer to Gun Court Prison, our rehabilitation center, and those who run it call it, in mid-1976. In common Jamaica parlance, a death trap mean one of the many ways a youth can end up dead or near dead. The police, the politics, and prison are only a few. The most dangerous death trap for the average Jamaican youth is the Gun Court Act 1976. This act was in effect the first implemented in 1974 as a direct result of the death of a few big shots and enormous pressure from the private sector and conservative press. The law established the mandatory life sentence for everything except the mere mention of a gun. They did not include that the private sector gave themselves a pat on the back when the Gun Court prison was built and painted red. Gun crime had been solved. As history shows, the Gun Court prison was no different to gun crime, and the act was not even constitutional. The act was so declared by the Privy Council in England in 1974. It was reviewed and legislated by January 1976 and has been in operation ever since. You can get life in the Gun Court for one round of ammunition, or even on the word of a complainant saying you were seen with a gun. The juvenile law will no water in the Gun Court. There are youths under 18 inside the prison, locked away for life. A Gun Court was assigned to the school as a volunteer teacher. A branch of Pull had been established here months before. As well as a vibrant inmate council, the focus of the struggle here was for the early review of the Gun Court Act. 4 months after I arrived there, I was elected to inmate council with the help of social worker Sona Gilmore. Pull and the inmate council I initiate the civic education program. Every Wednesday afternoon, we would invite a public figure to lecture on relevant matter of public affair, to answer questions and hear our views on the Gun Court Act. We had such visitors as the Minister of Culture, Arnold Bertram, Dudley Thompson, QC, Young Jamaica, and the Ambassador of Panama, Guyana, Cuba, and Trinidad. The program was very successful, so much so that without warning, I was suddenly transferred to General Penitentiary and the program was killed. General Penitentiary is the island's largest, most overcrowded and high security prison. It is also the most corrupt. Money can buy anything there, from a woman to a portable TV. I saw some of the most amazing things there. There was a particular convict we call Soul. Once he was escorted to the Kingston Public Hospital for an appointment. A deal was made and both the warder and Soul went to Soul neighborhood to visit his relative and friend. The warder got drunk and Soul had to put him to sleep it off. Taking the drunken warder service revolver, he went out onto the street and was arrested. It did not help that he took his arrest to the warder. The economy and commerce at General Penitentiary is the largest and most extensive in the prison. If one had the money, one can buy beer, jewelry, a ball of marijuana for 20 cents. I have one clothes and I sell clean. There were hustlers and gamblers. One guy who sold brass for gold and another who attempt to sell donkey weed for ganja. There I was again involved in organizing and teaching at the school. I had been doing O-level by then, and due to my years of voluntary teaching in the prison, I was offered a course of study at the extramural department of the University of the West Indies by Dr. Agray Brown, who headed the department at that time. This was a great opportunity for me. When I wrote to the commissioner asking his permission to participate, I got a 5-day punishment for writing the commissioner, Mr. Dudley Allen, without permission. Mr. Allen informed me after I had applied to see him that he was not going to send me. No reason was given. Then in 1978, I was transferred back to Gun Court prison for no explained reason and without prior notice. I did not give up when Allen said no. In 1977, I still studied and got through the exam. Once qualified, I got the commissioner okay to apply for entry to the College of Arts, Science and Technology. My application was processed and I went there for an interview. I was accepted by the college and now only need Commissioner Allen permission. True, he had given his okay to apply and I was positively recommended by the superintendent. Commissioner Allen decided he was not going to send me. Permission denied. The commissioner was convinced that I should not enjoy any of the privilege of higher education that the ordinary convict did. I cannot remember an occasion when I was not victimized in the most crude manner in my dealing with him. He blamed me for everything that happened. I soon came to realize that as long as Dudley Allen was commissioner, I just did not have a chance of anything. He was convinced that I was creating problem for him. I had nothing against Dudley Allen as an individual, but as Commissioner of Correction Service, he was out of tune with what was going on in the prison. One typical example of Commissioner Allen goof happened in 1977. Without checking with the prison to get his facts, the commissioner in one of his famous speech declared that it was almost the norm for incoming inmate to be gang rape. The entire penal population was shocked. Even the most hardened warden was angry. Where did Allen get his information from? Certainly not from the prison. And he checked, he would not have found a single such report. Since the struggle began in the early 1970s, youths, Rasta, clean youths, and Pull have been directly responsible for tearing down that era of corruption, not the Department of Correctional Service. Any youth who has entered Jamaica penal system since 1974 and became a homosexual had done so of his own accord and was not forced. Commissioner Allen was a commissioner of theory and textbook. He was always searching for the plot against his office with a ready hand of repression. During his tenure of office, I was always located on the security block. At St. Catherine, it was Gibraltar. At General Penitentiary, it was H0. And at the Dumb Cell and at Gun Court, it was New Remand and Train Lane. In every prison, they moved me to the situation followed a particular course. Always I was locked away and effort were made to keep me from speaking to anyone. But I was known, and the cause of the persecution I bore was obvious to the brothers and sisters in every prison. Within hours, a cook would present himself. He would send for my vessel every meal time and personally attend to my food. Another would come to take care of all my communication and post my letters. And I had a life credit with every businessman for any amount. Hey, when you hear that? When you hear that? The man have a live account with every businessman. I just have to change. My family was few. Friends on the outside were the backbone of my survival. It was traumatic for them, and the fact that I was moved around so much made the situation worse. At times they were unable to find me. Nevertheless, they stuck with me and I depend on them. At first, my family did not understand the struggle, but gradually they began to experience the callousness and brutality of the system through their connection with me, and they gave me their support, their help to survive. Many of the brothers who founded Pull with us and who were there at the genesis of the struggle have not survived. Donovan Chinqui, Winston Wright, Victor Lee escaped and were killed by the police and political gunmen. Brother Lukey and Hugo are also dead. Uton Baker is crazy from too much brutality and imprisonment. Some of us, Michael Bernard, Phipps, Gardner, Coates, Tyrrell, and Fisherman remain here on the rock, struggling for freedom. Today I have just served mandated 7 years after the commutation to become eligible for parole. I also have recently been successful in the Bachelor Science Sociology Part 1 exam. This was made possible through special provision initiated by the University of the West Indies. Indication are that I will be later this month to attend classes at the university for part 2 of the course. It would be the fulfillment of a dream I have had and worked towards for years. For the 124 inmate on death row, there is no reason for any optimism. And the 70th of this month, 2 of them were hung, 2 more were executed on the 9th, another 2 on the 16th, 6 killing under 2 weeks. Death hung like a cloud over the prison, and unlike the administration of Rattray, the present regime of Siago Spalding, the MP and Minister of Justice at the time of writing, support capital punishment and has given no indication of any change in this era. The inmate in the wider penal system now realize how significant the work of Carl Rattray was. Prisoner Development Week is now only a few church service in the prison. The rehabilitation program is now a ghost. The review of the gun code initiated by Ratri, along with the study of capital punishment already concluded, are only given lip service. The prison are more overcrowded and conditions in general are growing worse every day. I do not want to be around when it finally exploded. Again, it is going to be dead. Again, it is going to be dread down here in a Babylon. That was death row. And in closing, Maria Hector, a young Jamaican, tell us this autobiography, what it feel like to be wrongly arrested for murder at the age of 17, to await trial for 2 years and then be convicted and sentenced to death. The subsequent public furor led to his spending 2 further years in the condemned cell, awaiting possible stay of execution. The Jamaica Council for Human Rights took up his case, and his sentence was in the end commuted to life imprisonment. Stay tuned, and I am anticipating. Let me know whether I should read my good brethren Gilly Priest's book, Forge, how he did 45 years in New York State prison system, or do you want me to read Soul That Brother by George Jackson? I think, let me know which one you want me to read, Forge or Soul That Brother. Soul That Brother will take you back into the 60s and the 70s of life in Soledad maximum security prison, while Forge for Life will take you early 70s in New York State prison system by Gilly Priest. Keep it locked.